losers. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a little live stream, a little livey, and talk about something that all of us have been talking about, thinking about, dealing with since last week. Pardon me for a second as we get more people in. I'm about to upload the thumbnail. I'm still kind of new to all this. This is historically, I say historically like this isn't a brand new channel, but this is a combat sports channel. But when there's big things like this happening, things that hit close to home, which this is hitting close to home for people like me, people like you, everybody, I do feel the responsibility to talk about it. And the reason I'm doing live videos concerning this is because I want to open up dialogue for us to all kind of talk about it. So let me upload the thumbnail and we'll kind of get into it. It's crazy that you have to publish go live first before you can do the thumbnail, at least from the platform that I'm doing it on. Shout out StreamYard. Can we fix the divide? Can we fix it? I don't know if you've been on Facebook lately. I don't know if you've talked to your friends from high school. But just in case you haven't noticed, there are people that feel two very different ways about Charlie Kirk and his assassination. Now, what I have noticed is that a lot of the people that are for him, your middle ground to far right conservatives, have heard about Charlie for a while now, right? Like Charlie's nothing new. Whereas a lot of people who have a lot of negative things to say about Charlie Kirk just heard about him. Like they didn't know who he was when he died, or maybe they had seen something about him once or twice, but really had no idea who he was, never watched any of his material. And then they saw something post his assassination, which gave them the information they needed to put together to where now they hate him. So, and what is so crazy here is that it's almost like a game of telephone gone bad. You remember playing telephone when we were kids where you'd sit in a big circle or in a line and you'd come up with a word, whatever it was, banana, and then you whisper banana to your neighbor, and then they whisper it to their neighbor. And by the time it got to the end of the line, somebody said strawberry. I'm just using that for an example, but it's crazy how as humans we can see and hear the exact same thing, but have two very different interpretations of what we've seen. What are those two interpretations regarding Charlie Kirk and his body of work? One interpretation would be that he was a truth seeker. He wished to debate people in open format, and he was a believer, and he stood firm on his beliefs. The other side being that he was a racial bigot. He hated gay people, and he wanted to spew hate and destroy democracy as we know it. Wow. That is two very, very different opinions of a person. And the reason I feel a need to talk about this and want to talk about this is how are so many of the people in our country, how is it that so many of those people feel negative, have a negative connotation regarding Charlie Kirk, but how is it that so many others have a good connotation regarding Charlie Kirk? Surely it can't be that everyone who thinks highly of Charlie Kirk is either a racist if they're white or a house, you know what, if they're black. And surely it can't be that everyone who dislikes Charlie Kirk is like black supremacist, for lack of better words. So I want to try to come to a place where we can better understand each other. And obviously, hopefully, we want to get to a place where something like this never happens again. So we've got a few clips. We're going to look at here. We're We're still waiting for people to show up. I do think that StreamYard is kind of holding back my live streams for whatever. I have no idea why. It's very interesting. Like if I go live off my phone, within a minute or two, I'll have 5 to 20 people in there. And then it'll go down and come right back up. Like it circulates a lot. We're here, we're just not getting that. But you know what? It is what it is. We'll wait a couple more minutes. If nothing, if they're holding me back on the algorithm for this, we'll try it again and again and again, because I really want to have, I don't want to just put a video out. I want to have dialogue with you guys. I think we all deserve that. Excuse me, I'm trying to look on my phone to see if I can even view the video right now. Yeah, I can. Excuse me, I'm trying to look on my phone. All right. Well, we've got a couple people in here, so we're going to go ahead and get into the first video. This is kind of the consensus of Black America today, the ones who disagree with Charlie Kirk, and I think it's worth taking a look at and then trying to break it down. So without further ado, let's kind of get into it.
I had to walk out of church today.
Let me know if you guys can hear.
Over comments about Charlie Kirk. I'm on the verge of tears sitting in this parking lot because I'm having such a complex with my faith. Because I genuinely don't understand how Christians are pushing this man as though hate didn't come out of his mouth and heart on a consistent basis.
Okay. So we'll stop it right there and we'll pick back up. The first question I would have is, how long has this woman known of Charlie Kirk, right? A few minutes ago, I mentioned a lot of the negative connotations surrounding Charlie Kirk and the people who feel a way about him had no idea who he was before he died. Maybe they had seen a clip or two, but they had no idea, right? And whatever side of social media they're on, they're going to see those clips that are circulating, and then they form an opinion. So that would be my question. How much does this woman even know about Charlie Kirk? I think she's going to mention here in just a second how much she does know.
That's so sad. And you know what? This woman's obviously in her mid upper 20s, probably 20, 30. If you think that dude is a vile, disgusting racist, ain't nothing I can say to you that's gonna change your mind, because obviously you living in a false reality.
All right, we'll stop it right there. I've been thinking the same thing, and excuse me. What we have to realize is that as human beings, we're all entitled to our opinions. And just how you may believe what you believe, I believe what I'm going to believe.
That man had an ounce of race.
This is the conclusion I've had to come to. I find myself in these comment sections going to type up this whole essay, and it's like, no, there's nothing that I am going to write that is going to convince them otherwise. Now, the reason I'm doing this live video is because I want to open it up a little bit for discussion. I believe I've seen a lot of the videos hitting on a lot of the pain points of why people dislike Charlie Kirk. And from what I have seen, I do not deem it enough to call him a racist, white supremacist, hater of gay people. I'm sorry, I just don't. Is it necessarily nice, the things that he says? Well, no. No, but you know what? Sometimes the truth just isn't nice. Now, for me personally, I don't agree with the Trayvon Martin. I don't agree with the George Floyd, specifically George Floyd dying of an overdose. I have experience with drugs. I have experience with addiction. That doesn't happen slowly like that. Now, I know Charlie used some of his information for his debate and his beliefs from the medical examiner. Who am I to dispute it necessarily? But I'm not sure that the officer should be, released. I think there should be some form of punishment there. But then one can also argue we need to educate our people on how to respond and react once apprehended by the police so they do not put their lives in danger. Guys, We can't, if we get, and you know what? Nick Fuentes, actually, there's a video of him online where the cops pull up on him because some crazy lady was out in front of his house. And he's out like, it's almost like a hallway in between the two buildings outside. And he's trying to call the cop to the backyard. And I'm like, oh my God, no. You don't try to draw the cop to the backyard, like out of sight from the road. So it's important that we point out on both sides, to Black Americans and white Americans, that the correct way to deal with the cops, right? I'm not justifying what happened to George. Another thing I'd like to address while we're on that subject, I guess I would identify somewhere in the middle of the road, leaning more towards the right. One thing conservatives have got to stop doing, we've got to stop doing as an entire people, not just conservatives, making fun of the dead. Every year we see George Floyd is 4 years sober today. That shit's not cute. That shit's not funny. And then when they do it to us for Charlie Kirk, we want to throw it. Okay. I'm just saying. Let's continue to hear some of the Hodge twins on what they got to say about this lady. This lady might just need to find a new church to go to, guys.
In his body, you're mentally crazy.
Let me know if y'all can hear the video
You're
playing.
so crazy. You're hearing voices. Because obviously, while you listen to Charlie Kirk, you hear somebody else talking to you.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Because I've never seen that man as a... Well, this the thing, Kevin. I think a lot of what he say goes over their head, and they take it as racist. Mm-hmm. They're not hearing his entire message. And plus, Democrats, their whole philosophy now is hate speech is not what hate speech used to be. Hate speech today, to people like this, hate speech is, I hate what you're saying. Yeah. Real hate speech that preaches and talks down to certain groups of people to oppress them, to unalive them. That's hate speech. Black folks are very easily manipulated. They probably think.
All right, let's jump ahead to see what she has to say.
If this is the God,
if this is the God that we serve,
if this is the reflection of the God we serve, do I want to be a part of it?
Hey, Kev, this is one of those people that just goes to church on Sunday. You hear what I'm saying? These are just one of these people that go.
So there's always going to be different churches that you can go to that's going to align more with what feels good to you. At the end of the day, like if you are Christian, I think we all do have a responsibility to try and not pick and choose, to try and do the things that closely assimilate to what the Word of God says. Now, obviously, everybody's not on that type of time. So that's when we have to use our discernment, right? But yeah, what back to what they were saying about how easily people from the Black community can be swindled, can be confused, can be told something and they believe it. There was a point in time, and I'll share this with you guys live. There was a point in time when I was so caught up and entrenched, if that's even a word, in Black culture. It was around the time that Hillary Clinton was running for Donald Trump. I voted for the first time, and I voted for Hillary Clinton. Why did I do that? Because my only source of information was my favorite rappers, the things that I saw on Instagram, because Lord knows I wasn't watching the news, and what people that were close around me, my friends, were saying. And I voted for Hillary Clinton. I was so scared of Donald Trump. I was terrified, just as much as the next person. I mean, it was ridiculous. It wasn't until Biden and Trump ran against each other. I said, you know what? I watch a lot of YouTube. Let me try to utilize YouTube in a way where I can actually learn more about what is a Republican, what is a Democrat. So I watched gay Republicans versus gay Democrats in debates. I watched young conservatives versus old liberals and so on and so forth. And also did a little bit of digging regarding both. I think the biggest thing that kept me away from Biden was his involvement in the crime bill with Bill Clinton back in the day, right? And Turns out now where I'm at, I've evolved a little bit more. I don't think like 2 or 3 strikes you should be out, but also I don't think we should be as soft on crime as to where people are going in stealing $1,000 worth of merchandise out in California. These young kids running in and running out and then nothing happening. These people getting locked up over and over again and then being let out and nothing happened. Because I promise you this, the left can say that they are the compassionate ones, and on some subjects they are. I won't discredit that, but they will be the first ones to say, for example, if a man kills a woman, he should go to jail forever. And I agree. Well, why is it whenever a man is exhibiting the signs, violence towards women over and over and over and over again, he's being let back out? That doesn't do anything for the man. He's not getting any psychological eval he might need, and it's definitely not doing nothing for his old lady back home. So we're kind of getting off, but let's try to see where she's going to land with this, because from what I can tell, the pastor at her church had a moment of silence or prayers for Charlie Kirk. And you know what? At my church, they did something similar at the end of service, but what my pastor said was, we don't get political here, but we can see what's happening in the world. Someone was killed. Charlie Kirk was killed on live television, and let's remember to keep his wife and children in our prayers and our nation. And I think that's totally okay. Let's continue.
On Sunday, you don't really read the Bible,
Right.
You're only
conflict with my faith, because the leaders that we're supposed to be following
she's gonna cry.
are guiding us in this way to feel empathy and sympathy, and like that this person was this great Christian, and that the message that his wife gave was, it started off with like praising God. And I'm like, did we miss the chapter of hate?
Where's the chapter? Show me the chapter of hate, and then we can have an understanding. But
exactly, I would like to see what she's referring to. I think later on in the video she talks about how the comment where he said that certain politicians did not have the brain processing power. Again, I will say this. I want to hear y'all's opinion. Was Charlie Kirk nice? Was his delivery great at all times? No, it absolutely wasn't. What he was referring to were Kamala Harris and I believe a few other women that said that they would not be where they were without DEI. First, we've got to understand what truly is DEI. Then, what do you think DEI is, and what did Charlie Kirk think about DEI? And then we can come to some sort of conclusion, because I can tell you this, for every negative clip of Charlie Kirk, I can probably find 10 to 15 positive ones. Now, this is meant to be like a learning type of thing where we can kind of help each other out here. I don't think this guy was inherently evil. Let a lot of people tell it this was the second coming of Adolf Hitler. So let's get to exactly what this woman was talking about. This is what I want to hear about.
I don't know what hate you're talking about. Yeah, this is it's very rare in the Black community. Yeah, about 10%.
He endorsed, encouraged, and pushed. I don't know where to go from here. I don't.
Bring in politics.
We'll talk to your pastor
in the church
and hide yourself behind a Bible, to me, is not something I want to be a part of, and it's not the faith I want to be.
I want to see where she lands.
So what do I do?
Pause it. What faith? I mean, one of the 10 Commandments: "Thou shalt not kill." You
in myself sitting here is like, to what do I do?
You walked out of church.
I don't want him to be a reflection of what I believe. And what do you do when your leaders and your pastor is saying that is the reflection. To me, I feel like I'm smart. I feel like I've worked hard to get where I get, and to push a man who thought that I didn't have the thinking capacity to get to where I am,
right,
that I
that's it.
stole a white.
That's it. Okay. And I said earlier, and I said earlier, most people had no idea who Charlie Kirk was until he passed away. No idea. Maybe they had seen a clip or so. Most people who have a negative connotation of who Charlie Kirk is or was had no idea, nothing about him. She's talking about when he was referring to DEI. So again, we've got to talk about what really is DEI. What do you believe DEI is, and what did Charlie Kirk believe DEI to be, to kind of get where we need to be? Because he was not talking about Black women in a whole having the lack of brain power. People don't talk about Charlie Kirk's Black Leadership Summit. People don't talk about the Black staff that he had on at Turning Point, not because they were DEI hires, no, but because he believed in them and the talent that they had and the vision that they had. And, Charlie Kirk has talked about before that inside of our the only thing that separates us is melanin, from white to Black. At the source of it all, at the root of it all, in our DNA, we are all human. And look, for every one negative video that you can show me, I can dig up 5 to 10, maybe even more positive ones. Okay. But people are going to hear what they want to hear. And you can say that about the right and the left. I'm open here, guys. But what we can't do is reach and grasp for straws whenever there's further evidence. Kamala Harris and these ladies he were talking about were his opposition as far as politically. Charlie Kirk didn't just have opposition politically that were Democrats, by the way. Him and Nick Fuentes didn't see eye to eye. What is DEI to you? I'm curious. Because I believe that once upon a time, it did open a door to a world that was a little unfair towards Black people. And do those inequalities and unfairness, do those things still exist? I think I would be a fool to say that somewhere, some facet and some nook and cranny of the world and some workforce, they don't. I think I'd be silly to say that. But the problem, what Charlie would preach on, what his problem with it is that I believe it was Howard. It was one of these Ivy League schools. I wish I could cite it right now, but I've heard him talk about it several times. In this specific school, a person of color could score up to 200 points less than an Asian student, than a white student, and get in over that student. So his problem with DEI was, yeah, that's all great for you that you're getting in, but are you taking that spot, that job, whatever, from someone who might deserve it more on paper? It's not to say that you're not qualified. An airline isn't going to go hire a ditch digger. No, they're going to hire someone who has a degree. Were their test scores as high as the other person you declined to make your DEI quotas? I kind of get both sides. Charlie Kirk wanted to see an America that was more fair, that was, I was going to say equitable. That's a socialist type of viewpoint, but he wanted to see a more even playing field. Some might hire DEI creates that. Until I see the statistics, until, major companies release their statistics saying, yep, we hired 5 DEI candidates this year, and there was 5 that were more qualified that we didn't because of that, it's going to be hard. I mean, the concept of DEI is raising someone up from a marginal community that might not have all the qualifications you have, but because of the laws and DEI quota, we've got to give them a fair look. So, I don't know, but I understand the reasoning. And guys, life is unfair. It doesn't mean that that's right, but it kind of is the way it is. At one point, it's around 2020, and I was seeing a girl that She could not get a job if she tried. She was black. She could not get a job if she tried. Everyone loved her everywhere. Whereas on the other hand, I couldn't find a job if I sold my left kidney. You know, it was just like that. And there's checks and balances in life. There's some circumstances where life is just impartial. You know, like it just is what it is. For example, if a woman has an abortion, that's her choice, but it's not your choice if you want to get put on child support or not. It just is the way it is. And I've come to accept that. I've come to accept the downsides of life as being a man. And sometimes we all need to accept it. Now, to be treated unfairly on purpose is never okay. It's never okay. And I would like to believe that we're in a world where you can work hard enough to get where you are. There was once a time where I was a real dirtbag. You know, I used drugs and I was just off the chain till I was 23 years old. I'm 31 now. And life just never would swing my way. And when I would catch a break, I would squander it every single time. And it wasn't until I started to take responsibility for my life and stop looking at myself like a victim, stop feeling so sorry for myself, and step into those big boy shoes of the men that I once criticized so much, that I once hated so much. You know, I had daddy issues. I favored my mom more. I wanted to, you know, I never had nobody to really tell me what was what. And those that did, I hated you for it. And you know, once I got over that hump, would you believe it? Life has been pretty damn good. It's not to say that life is short of any hard comings or hardships, because that's life. But let's continue here. There's another video that I want to show you. And I think this is dangerous, but this is where we're at as a country, and we've got to figure some stuff out. Is now the time to let the dogs out or call the dogs back home? And what I mean is, do we try to find some sort of middle ground here and work on this? Or is it just all out war at this point? I think the latter is dangerous, but when we're in pain, that's going to be felt. That's going to be heard. That's for any community. That's for the left. That's for the right. And right now, the right is in great pain. And the right's getting mocked at every turn. They're getting told that it was their own. I mean, this is some serious stuff, right? And in case you haven't heard, in Mississippi, at least one person, I heard it may have been two, I could only find reports for one, was found hanging out on a tree outside of Delta State University. Imagine if that was in response to what happened to Charlie Kirk. That what happened to Charlie is so wrong. But if this is going to be our response, we've got to check ourselves. Let's listen to what JD Vance has to say. I'm going to go to the little one on this. No, I want the circle. There we go. Let's go.
Insane. It's insane. It's insane that is even like at a dinner party.
I'm
like
they're at a dinner party right now.
That someone would feel comfortable saying that, and they would, and the other people would not even push back on that. You know, just think about that. Think about how sick that culture is, and the timeline that we're in now is not one where Charlie Kirk got an attempt on his life. Like, he was killed, and that everything is going to be different as a result of that. And that's why JD Vance's speech is so right. Like, it's just so on the money.
Let's
and
hear
I can't wait to show it to you. We're going to do that right now. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And
shout out Jesse on Fire. Subscribe to my channel.
An American Badass.
Let's hear JD.
With people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country. There is no unity.
Boom, son. Okay. Boom. Now, after that speech right there, I'm on the tip like, let me know what I can do to help your campaign in 2028, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point exactly. There is a group of people that have risen up, and you know what? This is going to sound so crazy, but this is actually something that I prayed for many months ago, that a new wave of patriotism would kind of fall over the United States. People that are ashamed of this country, people who think this country sucks, people who think they can, have it better off somewhere else, that they would get this revival of patriotism, essentially. And I hate that this is the way that it's going to happen, but we've got to channel this thing the correct way. Because if violence begets violence, that's going to be wrong 10 times out of 10. It's going to be wrong 10 times out of 10. And as a conservative, I'm going to tell you right now that what happened in Minnesota a couple months ago, that needs to be acknowledged as well. Now, whether or not Walls had something to do with that or not, like the killer said he did, I don't know, but it's still wrong. It's still wrong. So my question is, can we fix the divide? Your friends from high school, your friends from college, your friends from work, you've seen their Facebook posts. You see where they stand on this. And they're extreme. And you're extreme. And you feel the way you feel. Is there a world where we can fix this, where we can still be friends? And I believe, yes, there is. First off, I'm not going to act like I know those answers. That's why I went live on this video, to kind of get some commentary back from you guys, because I truly do believe that's how we fix this. That's how we get to the bottom of this. It hit me earlier like a ton of bricks, and it's the reason I made this video. I would say a large percentage of people who dislike Charlie Kirk have no idea who he is, had no idea who he was before he got killed, and have seen a clip or two that has totally warped their opinion. And I'm sure there's some people who have known about him for a really long time that just can't stand the guy. Again, for every single clip, every single negative clip that one could provide of Charlie Kirk, I could find 5 to 10 or more showing the opposite on the same issue, showing compassion on the same issue. Tone is a big problem on the left. And one might say, well, if it's the truth, who cares about the tone? We live in a society right now that is so hypersensitive that we might just need to start taking tone into account. And I hope that doesn't make me sound weak. I hope that doesn't make you think any less of me if you're conservative. For the left, you've got to start understanding that the principle politics on which the right stand by 90% of the time is going to come from Jesus Christ. It's going to come from the fact that we were one nation under God. That's how we were founded, and that's still how we are. And if you're on the left, you're going to have to try and understand that. And on the right, we're going to have to try to understand how our tone affects them. I know, who cares about tone if it's the truth, but how do we prevent this is what I'm getting at. So what I would like to start seeing is conversations happening, not a conversation for you to be right or for me to be right, but a conversation to where potentially I can learn something. Potentially one of my views that I've been so hard on might shift a little. I pray for me the same thing that I pray for you, that we stand in truth and in what we believe, but that our heart is never hardened so much that we can't learn new information. I don't want to be that old dog. You don't want to be that old dog that can't learn new tricks. I mean, there are some 17, 18, 19 teenagers out here right now that you can't tell them nothing politically. And I understand that. I get it. The social justice warriors. I understand it. But if we don't fix this, if we don't get to the bottom of this, I fear that hard times are ahead. Now, some people talk about civil war. I think that this is about the worst that we're ever going to see. The beefs, the battles online. God bless us if anybody else gets their life taken on live TV. I think we can recover from this. It'll take a very long time. It'll take a very long time. But if this violence produces more violence, we could be looking at something totally different. So we've been going now for 36 minutes. We've had a couple of people come in and out. I'm not here to say that my way is the right way and that your way is the wrong way, but I believe what I believe as you believe what you believe, and I pray that we can find some middle ground. And if we can't, I pray that I can respect your opinion, and I pray that you can respect mine. Yeah, I would really love to see a world, forget a world, a United States, a Louisiana, just where I live. I would love to see a United States where we could potentially listen to one another a little bit more. And hopefully this game of telephone gone terribly wrong will one day end. So guys, that is pretty much all I have. I'm going to go ahead and upload this live video. I would have hoped that we would have gotten a little more participation, but I know there's Candace Owens going live right now, and this is a much smaller channel. If you are watching, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe. Again, this is something different. I don't usually upload anything dealing with politics. I put this in the category more of world events, and it's our responsibility that we address these things and talk about these things, and don't get so stuck on what one person says about this thing that we can't learn more about it. Don't do that. Don't go to your favorite YouTuber and just take what they say. Did you look at the whole clip? Did you do the background? If so, okay. Okay. But if you have clean hands and you haven't sinned and you're perfect, then cast the first stone. That's you have that right. But I have a feeling that no one's hands are clean in this. So, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I will holla at you soon. Peace.